picking you up to 2 p.m. And we are joined by my guy, Jason Dumas, sports director for KRON, KRON 4 News, also does work with 95.7 The Game. Jason, how are you doing, my friend, on this Friday?
What's up, man? I'm doing great. Nice day out. I'm in Union Square, about to head down to Santa Cruz. Nothing to complain about.
Wow, oh yeah, right. Because you're doing Santa Cruz Warriors as well, right?
Yeah. Do the sideline for their home games. So they got a game against Portland's G League affiliate tonight, Rip City. So that should be a cool one. Santa Cruz 5-1 this year.
Ooh, there you go. So Jason, I was gonna ask, with your ties to Philly, if you were going to be in Philly, because when I follow you on the gram, my nickname for you is frequent flyer because you're all over the globe all the time. But it seems like you're hanging out this weekend. I have to ask, I know you cover the Niners. You're from Philly. Let me just ask, where does your allegiance lie?
Honestly, I'm a Philly guy, so I'm always going to favor Philly teams. They're in my heart, but I've been doing this long enough, man. It's my 11th year on TV. I've been doing it long enough where I can be objective and, and do my job correctly while also, deep down liking to see one of my team wins and everything. But at the end of the day, the game's going to play itself out, and I'm just going to get on TV and tell everybody what happened. Keep it real.
See, you have it much easier than me because, I got to break down Kings, and then people are like, aren't you from the Bay? And they're on my helmet out here, Jason. So I know you are not jealous of my situation.
Yeah, Jason, I was
not at all. And it's harder on radio. It's harder on radio because, you're on the radio for 4 hours. You're giving your opinions as well. When I'm on TV, I don't really give my opinions. I kind of just present the facts and what happened in the storylines of the game. I don't really have to give my takes. But when you're on the radio, that can get yourself in trouble. People start flipping you and putting it on the internet, and then they're dragging you through the mud.
There you go.
Yeah, and our guy Alan don't know nothing about that, right? he don't know nothing about getting dragged through the mud on socials. Jason, I was wondering, the Eagles, a lot has been made of their record in one-score games, 7-1. And I'm a Vikings fan, and as a Vikings fan, last year that was the big talking point, and people were very quick to always throw in my face that the Vikings were fraudulent because of that one-score record. Do you feel like Philly falls into that same category a bit this year, or is that stat kind of not a one-for-all kind of thing?
You know what? When I saw that stat earlier this week, it threw me off guard, and then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? Every game has been pretty close. There was a couple, I'm pretty sure that Vikings game was a one-possession game, but, the Eagles were kind of handling them the whole game. Kirk got the backdoor cover, which won me some money that week. But, if the Eagles were like a one-hit wonder and they weren't good last year, I would put a little more stock in that. Like the Vikings, they kind of came out of nowhere. They were always middle of the pack. And last year they were just really dominant. So I was like, might be an anomaly. But the Eagles, they've lost two regular season games or Jalen Hurts has lost two regular season games in 2 years. The Eagles have been a playoff team for 3 years now. I think they've done a little much to be considered a lucky team. Do they win close games? Yeah, but they've been good for 3 seasons now. It's just who they are.
Talking to Jason Dumas, sports director for KRON, KRON 4 News, also does work with 95.7 The Game, and the sideline host for the Santa Cruz Warriors. Jason, I got to be honest. We pull back the curtain here on this show. I already knew what your answer was going to be to the Eagles questions. I was just letting our listeners know where your allegiance lies, because on social media, on X, on Twitter, you've been getting spicy a little bit with Niner fans and the conversations about Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts for MVP. Why don't you let everybody know where you stand on it, and I guess the argument of Brock Purdy's throwing numbers versus Jalen Hurts and just the package that is Jalen and this Eagles team?
Yeah, well, my thing is, I definitely got sucked into the engagement trap on Twitter. I've been chilling lately, but someone sucked me into it. My whole thing is this: the MVP award in pretty much every sport, the four main sports, it is as much narrative and storyline based as it is performance based. It just always has been. If it was strictly performance based, we would have seen LeBron James win it about 8 straight years. We would have seen Steph have more MVPs, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. But it's not. People like storylines. You got to remember, the people voting for these awards are human beings with emotion, and they put context into the situation. So I responded to a tweet that basically was scoffing at Jalen Hurts being the front runner for MVP. Now, in my opinion, I think he should be one of the front runners. Pick your poison. I think it's him, Christian McCaffrey, Lamar Jackson, and Dak. I think they're all kind of shoulder to shoulder, and when you're that close, you kind of start looking at records and head to head. So I took an exception to people laughing, like, why is Jalen Hurts being considered? Just look at his story. Last year, he had better numbers, and he was going to win that MVP award until he got hurt in Chicago, and he missed 3 games. Patrick Mahomes overtook him after Jalen Hurts missed that time. He follows up that year, and he's 10-1. And if you look at his last 2 years, he's only lost 2 regular season games. He has a bunch of signature wins against really good teams, and he has a bunch of MVP moments, which was topped off last week on that game-winning touchdown in overtime. It's a great story. That is why he is leading the MVP odds right now, and it's always been like that in sports. It's not a surprise. If you haven't noticed that, you just don't know how that award works. That's how these people vote for these awards. So it's pretty obvious to me why he is one of the favorites for MVP. Now, if Christian McCaffrey won it, or if Dak Prescott won it, I wouldn't be up in arms. They're having great seasons too. And Christian McCaffrey, that's a great story. But I wouldn't vote for Brock Purdy as an MVP because I don't even think he's the most valuable player on his offense. I think Christian McCaffrey is the cog that makes that engine go. And before they acquired Christian McCaffrey, the 49ers were a good team. Since they added him, they've been a great team. He is their guy.
Yeah, Jason, and when you talk about the Eagles, and I mean, it gets brought up every week, but it especially feels like this week, the battle of the trenches is going to be massive. And is there any way you see the Niners winning this game without us coming out on the other side of this game saying the Niners D-line clearly won that battle? Is there any way the Niners can win without winning that battle?
Yeah, I think they can. The Niners and Eagles both have a really good defensive line. I think the Eagles' defensive line last year was much better. The Eagles have struggled in the secondary this year, and I think it's mainly because they just haven't been getting to the quarterback as much. Now, of course, last year it was at a record pace. They were 1 sack away from having the most sacks of all time in NFL history. So that was kind of different. They're still good, but they're not getting to the quarterback as much. So, I wouldn't say the Niners have to win that battle. I just think the Niners, it's key for them to get out early. The Niners are really, really hard to beat when they get going early because they have such a good cadence to their offense. And when they get in rhythm, it's just like clockwork. They just drive down the field so methodically on people. So, but they get a little flustered when things don't go their way and the timing is off. That's why when Christian McCaffrey was hurt and Trent Williams was hurt and they didn't have all the pieces, Debo, you saw them struggle. You just did. So, but they're healthy. So I think their key is getting off to a fast start and getting that secondary testing that Eagles secondary. I think it's actually more important the Eagles to get home than the 49ers to get home to the quarterback.
Talking to Jason Dumas, sports director, KRON, KRON 4 News. Also does work with 95.7 The Game, sideline reporter for the Santa Cruz Warriors. Jason, one more before we get you out of here. Who needs this game more?
Oh, it's the Niners, by far.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I think the Niners are going to win. The Niners need it more for a bunch of reasons. One, they kind of have to back up all the trash that they talk all off season. They try to play it off now. I heard George Kittle say the media likes to make things a bigger deal than they are. Like, dude, come on. Like, you guys made this a big deal. The media didn't, you know? All the offseason, you have one of your best players calling one of the Eagles players trash. That's not normal. You don't see NFL players really doing that. Call the guy trash. You guys were, you know, mics were in your face, so I'm not particularly blaming you, but every time a mic was in your face during Super Bowl week, you guys hooting and hollering, and we would have done this, we would have done that. Your guys are going to have to back that up. Obviously, it means more to the Niners in the standings if they want home field advantage, which they really wanted coming into this year. They didn't want to have to play a road NFC championship game. They'll have to win this one. They're not going to be able to get home field advantage throughout if they lose this one. And they're on extra rest, and, you know, they're a little healthier than the Eagles right now. They need to win this game. And I think also just from a mental point of view, the Eagles beat them after all that I just laid out on the line. You know, what do you think of yourselves? Obviously, you're going to say publicly, the game will bounce back, but you're going to be like, damn, we kind of had the odds in our favor this week, and we still lost. So I think the Niners will win. They're a really good team. These guys are very, very comparable in talent level, but I think the Niners are a little hungrier than the Eagles. Eagles in the middle of a gauntlet, and they got the Cowboys next week. They just need to try to get through this stretch unscathed, maybe one loss. But the Niners, they need this one way more than the Eagles.
There you go. Jason Dumas, sports director, KRON 4 News. Jason, thank you for joining. Look, for anybody from the Bay or Sacramento heading out to Philly, I got to ask you as a Philly guy, and I know you won't say Pat's and Geno's, but where should they go to get that cheesesteak?
Where should they go? That's a good question. There's so many. I would say this. Go to Reading Terminal Market. It's right down. It's right downtown, Center City, Philadelphia. You can get yourself a cheesesteak. You can get yourself a roasted pork sandwich, desserts, ice cream, Italian. It's a big, basically indoor farmers flea market type deal. And you have a lot of options, and you're right downtown. I'm not going to send these Niners fans into the neighborhood. I could be an accessory. So go to Reading Terminal.
There you go. All right, Jason, man. Have fun in Santa Cruz. Thank you for the good work, and we'll have you back on again soon. Have a good weekend.
All right, fellas. Thanks for having me.
There you go. Jason Dumas, sports director, KRON 4 News, also does work with 95.7 The Game, and also is the sideline reporter for the Santa Cruz Warriors.
How'd you rate his Philly cheesesteaks? Have you been there before?
Oh yeah, Reading Terminal Market. Okay. So they got the cheesesteaks popping. That roasted pork sandwich that he's talking about.
That got me.
That won best sandwich in America about 5-6 years ago, and I've had it. Very good with broccoli rabe. You got to check it out. My personal favorite, if you've been to Philly, it's called Ish Kabibbles. It is called Ish Kabibbles. It is very good. And on Creed, I believe that on Creed, they go to Jim Steaks. That's another good one. There's a bunch of good ones out there for anybody heading out to Philly. Hit me up. I will, or hit Jason up. I will help you out, and he will help you out as well. Got to get to a break. When we get back, we have an update on Keegan Murray, and we also, I should have done that. Keegan Murray. There you go. And we're also talking Shohei to the Bay, Stiles Watkins, Sactown Sports.